Well, tell me, how's Laura and the baby?
They couldn't be better, Dr. Hardy, unless, of course, they were home with me.
All in good time.
Well, that's what I keep telling myself.
Have a seat, Luke. I get the feeling you didn't drop by just to discuss the weather.
No, sir. Have you been holding out on me, Steve?
Regarding what?
Bradley Ward. What do you say, Doc? Should we put all our cards on the table? It's not easy getting to the bottom of secrets as old as Woodstock, but it seems when you mention the name Bradley Ward, people remember things.
He was the sort of man who made a lasting impression.
Well, once it came out that he was murdered, it seems a lot of people wanted to talk loud and clear. And all of them are very interested in bringing his murderer or murderers to justice.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Probably. They're coming out of the woodwork, Steve. One particularly attractive woman named Kylie Quinlan.
Is that so?
What can you tell me about her?
I believe she was a good friend of Dr. Ward's. Other than that?
I know about her miscarriage. She told me herself.
Well, that's her prerogative. Surely you can understand why I wouldn't feel free to mention it.
Well, of course. The confidentiality business, of course. She told me that she had a very high opinion of you. She felt that you were a person who could be trusted to keep the secret.
It was my responsibility to do so.
And that's why something's bothering me, Steve. Somebody else found out about it. I need to know who and how.
I remember that evening very clearly. I recognized Bradley Ward immediately, and I already knew his reputation. The young woman was lovely and very frightened.
Well, it's no fun playing cat and mouse when you're the mouse. They were convinced that someone had intentionally tried to run them off the road.
And it cost her pregnancy. It didn't take a genius to figure out whose child it was, and what kind of a scandal it would cause if it ever got out. Frankly, I never thought it was anybody's business anyway. I liked Dr. Ward. I liked what he stood for. His personal life was his own concern.
But someone else did find out, Steve.
Someone came to me, an old and trusted friend. He said he knew about Bradley Ward and his relationship with a young woman.
Kylie Quinlan.
That's right. He also said he knew about the accident and her miscarriage. I was stunned.
Well, there was a private investigator. Maybe he rooted it out.
Unfortunately, we're not Fort Knox here. If the price was right, I suppose someone, a nurse, an orderly, would let the information leak out. Regardless, my friend was looking for confirmation. It put me in an awful situation.
Friends can do that to you.
I didn't tell him anything outright. I wouldn't confirm that sort of information, but I also couldn't deny it.
Who was the friend, Steve?
Lee Baldwin.
Hello, Lee. What's this buzz?
What buzz are you referring to, Luke?
The buzz that has you up to your bifocals in the Bradley Ward case.
You must be thinking of somebody else.
No, I'm thinking of you. And that exclusive club you belong to.
Come to the point, Luke.
Lee, you're one of 4 people in the world who knew about Kylie Quinlan's miscarriage. Now, why don't you tell me about the attempt to blackmail Dr. Ward? And then you can tell me who killed him.
I've had a rough day, Spencer, and the last thing I need is to walk in here and find you accusing me of some sort of complicity.
That's very good, Lee. The old righteous indignation dodge.
What I want to know is, Why are you doing Donnelly's work?
Donnelly? What are you kidding? I got enough of my own dirty laundry without washing Donnelly's. No, Lee, this is about to hit the fan. It's coming your way.
What have you heard?
I'm hearing conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and I'm going to get to the truth. So why don't we just take a shortcut right now? What happened to Bradley Ward?
I have a client to protect, Lou.
All right, I understand that. This is off the record.
Oh, this is much bigger than off the record. And I would never testify to it in court.
You can always invoke lawyer-client privilege.
And if you wanted to testify to it, it wouldn't hold water. It's hearsay and it's worthless.
Lee, I'm not here to try to use you as grease for the criminal justice wheel. Come on. I just want to know the truth. Please, what happened to him?
I don't know for certain, Lou. At about 1 a.m. on the day Bradley died, Edward called Jack Boland and me for an emergency meeting at Jack's house. And when we got there, Frank Smith had just arrived. Edward had called him, too.
Okay, I'm listening.
Well, Edward was very worked up, and he made a plea. He asked us to lay off Bradley Ward. But our consensus was that we were very near accomplishing our goal, that of getting Bradley off of our backs. But Edward flat out said he would handle Bradley Ward himself personally.
What does that mean?
I don't know. But when he left, he was very angry, upset.
And that's it?
Well, except for a phone call. Jack got a phone call about a half hour after Edward left. He didn't say who it was, but I surmised it was someone who asked to meet with him.
At that hour?
Apparently. Look, all I know is I was so exhausted I just went home.
Where was Frank?
Well, Frank was still with Jack when I left. But the next thing we all heard was that Bradley had disappeared. From the sound of things, Edward Quartermain has a lot more explaining to do.